but it seems like I end up being best friends with the guys after a breakup. I don't know. I do better for him always than the other.
And I think that comes back again, like you were talking about, being able to verbalize your needs, being able to verbalize things as they come up, as opposed to letting them stew and just not addressing.
Brian, the audience has had a chance now to view your 15-minute portion of your tape. What I'd like to do now is to demonstrate these 5 supervision kind of models and techniques. I prepared a handout for us, so I'm going to go ahead and give that to you. These are just the categories of counseling supervision. And what I'll be doing is showing you the an example of each of the models. I'll talk a little bit about a basic tenet and perhaps the supervisor role. And then I'm going to supervise you from each of these different models and techniques. The very first one is the developmental model. The example I'm going to be using is this Stoltenberg, McNeil, and Delworth. It's the developmental model. And the basic tenet, Brian, is this, that as you can see, supervisees grow at individual paces with differing needs and styles of learning. Now, here are the supervisee's roles. My role would be this, that if you were a brand new student, brand new supervisee, I'd probably put on my teacher hat. If I were a level 2, I'd say, your basic skills are done, I just need to provide you with some structure and maybe encouragement. The advanced level 3, it says, you come to me and say, Lori, things are going well, but what do you think about this? So at level 3, I just listen and I offer suggestions as you might need. And this master counseling level, I'm really just your colleague and consultant. And what I think is real interesting about this tape with Sydney is that I would say most of the time, Brian, when we do supervision, I'm at this master counselor level 4 with you. You come in and say, here's what I think, what do you think about this? But what I'm really excited about with this tape for you, Brian, is that you had the courage to bring me a tape that's really, you're treading in different territory.
Absolutely.
As I think about it, you usually give me tapes with males who are addicted in any capacity. They tend to have behavioral concerns and they're in big crisis.
Right.
Here comes a person, here comes Sydney, she's female. Her concerns are certainly not crisis, and so I think this is a very different population for you.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And so your question, your supervisor question was wonderful. You said to me, how do I keep her focused? Well, in your old population, you knew exactly how to do that, Brian.
Right.
And oftentimes you could get to feelings very well too. So I'm going to focus just a little bit with Sydney.
Okay.
I'm going to be at this probably level 1, level 2, because I hope this makes sense that this has nothing to do with your skill level, but you have a new population.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask you a little bit, talk to me a little bit, Brian, about why do you think in this tape you were much less directive and very much into silence and active listening?
I really think the main reason for that is a lot of what you said. I'm really used to dealing with clients who have issues that present being in crisis, things of that nature. So in Sydney's case, she had a lot of her answers. She really needed some direction as far as which avenues to take and some encouragement. So for me, that was definitely a departure from what I was kind of used to. So at the moment, during the session, it kind of felt like maybe it's time for me to just kind of sit back, take a different role, do some listening, and kind of hopefully guide things from there. And to be honest, it's certainly on my end of things, a little bit of being kind of unsure as far as which direction really to take her, because she was functioning at a fairly decent status, wasn't needing crisis resolution, anything like that. So for me, it was somewhat difficult to really kind of assess, where do I fit in this situation and kind of what can I do from here.
And so I'm wondering if I put on my teacher hat here, I'm wondering if one of the things you could do, Brian, when you work with a new clientele, a new population, I'm wondering if it would be wise for you to say to her, Sydney, and tell me what you think about this. Sydney, honestly, this is sort of a new situation for me, and I'm a little bit, it's a little bit different than the population I'm working with. And by doing that, tell me what you think might happen to Sydney.
Well, I think one thing that would happen is it would certainly help that relationship, establish that rapport, so that she can understand kind of where I'm coming from as well. And I think that would help her feel maybe even a bit more comfortable with me, being able to be forward and honest with her that I don't have all the answers, that I'm, I'm not going to be able to come in here and know exactly what you need to do or anything like that, that, I'm human too, and I always don't have those answers. So, and the thing that I think for me it really would help me is to be able to kind of take off that, maybe that nervousness or that sense of apprehension on my part, that it is okay to be able to tell the client that, I don't have all the answers, and your situation is a bit different than what I'm usually, dealing with.
What's so fascinating when I watched the tape with Sydney is that one of her major issues was that of trust. And so I think by your doing that, Brian, she would say, okay, this man is being honest with me, and it was also an issue of trust with men.
Right.
So this man is being honest with me, and I think it would really make a difference in your level of security as well as Sydney's.
Yeah, I agree.
I also want to encourage, though, Brian, because I love the fact that you had silence with her. I thought that you were extremely encouraging to her, and she ate up the fact that you were listening to her. So I think your paraphrases, those reflections, they were just powerful. So I just really want to encourage you the next time that happens to maybe be more genuine with her. Does that make some sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So that's, if we would do this for probably a whole hour, Brian.
Okay.
But that's sort of the basic structure where, I choose based upon where you are. And normally I think I have been that master counselor level 4, but today I was a little bit more teacher and a little bit more maybe encourager. What do you think would be a benefit of a developmental supervision model for you?
I think for me at this point in time is really just what you had said, is because this is a new population for me, really in those level 1, level 2 there, being able to provide that supervision, being able to put on that teacher's role, that teacher's hat, and helping me kind of see what directions I might need to go in. I definitely do like the providing structure and the encouragement. I think that's definitely helpful, especially with those clients that you don't have a lot of experience in working with. And when you do start to get stuck or kind of feel a little bit apprehensive about where you're going to go with it, having that ability to look at what stage of your own development you're at and being able to kind of match that to where the client is as well.
And so you can see that when you are a supervisor, that one of the things you might want to do is make sure that you understand where your client is and where your supervisee is, so that you can kind of pick and choose the kind of supervision that you'd like to do.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that would be developmental.